Welcome to Nonstop. It's the official and season show of Kirk, Herbstreit, and Joey Galloway. Your first stop for all things football, college and pro, every Monday.
All right, Joey. What a crazy weekend we had. Kind of knew coming into this thing it would be. It was really a no-win situation for the committee. They ended up living up to it with some chaos. Some people agree. If your team got in, you agree. If your team did not get in, you disagree. December 8th, I think this show we're going to get into the CFP. We only have an hour. This show, I think we want to start just with kind of reaction to some of the games that we saw on Friday night and especially on Saturday with the Big Ten and the SEC championship, the ACC championship, which Duke ended up winning, finishing 8-5. Congrats to the Blue Dew Devils. Virginia comes up a little bit short. BYU and Texas Tech, kind of the same, started a little bit more competitive, but kind of the same result that we had in Lubbock, where Texas Tech is a great football team. So congrats to Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders. We're going to have Mario Cristobal on in about 19 minutes to talk about the Canes getting in. But Joey, you were watching all these games. We'll get into the CFP and you being on the desk yesterday in a second. But Georgia, Alabama, Georgia's. Boy, they're trending in a great direction right now. I don't know if I'd want to play them. They're and then they get 2 weeks to get healthy. They were really banged up playing in that game against Alabama. And then I flew over to Indy to watch the second half of Ohio State, Indiana. Kudos to Indiana, Curt Cignetti, boy, Bryant Haynes, the defense coordinator from IU. By the way, from Piqua, Ohio.
Wow.
GA'd with Urban, I think back in 2013, but has been with Cignetti pretty much his entire coaching career. And did a hell of a job in getting IU ready to go against an Ohio State defense Ohio State offense. It's pretty much controlled everything that they've needed to control throughout the game, throughout the season. And in this game, just overwhelmed at the line of scrimmage. And I'll just go to you. We talked about Indiana from last year to this year. They had shown a difference at the line of scrimmage. We can talk about Mendoza, Omar Cooper, all we want about the skill. But to me, I said it even on game day, Saturday morning, they look to be a different team at the line of scrimmage on the offensive and defensive lines. And I think that kind of played out in this game against Ohio State in a very low scoring 13-10 Big Ten championship game.
Yeah. And it was amazing to watch Indiana at the end of the game. And we've seen him in this position against Penn State, having to put together a drive to finish the game off. But this one's different. This is in the Big Ten championship game. This against Ohio State. This is not great field position. You got to go to the length of the field, and you got to get a couple first downs to end this game. The throw down the sideline on 3rd and 6.
Mm-hmm.
The first time this season, Ohio State's been put in a position against a team that has the nuts to do that.
Yeah.
Throw it deep.
Yep.
3rd and 6. Mendoza. What?
Yeah.
What an amazing end for a team that looked really good all season long, but there still was the question who they play, who they beat. They went on the road to beat Oregon, great win. But to see them do what they did in Indianapolis Saturday night, that is a whole different level of football team. And I mentioned yesterday, I was talking to Coach about their defense. I don't think I knew they were good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know they were that good. I didn't know they were that good up front to put the kind of pressure on Julian Sand and get to him the way they did. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think they ended up with 5 sacks. Ohio State giving up 6
something like
sacks
that
all year. And not just the sacks. I just think it was the first time we've really seen Julian Sand, who's uberly talented, great group of receivers, as we know. But it was the first time you kind of felt he was unsettled. It was the first time that whether they were giving you different looks with blitzing and the twist game and different things, it just the Ohio State offensive line looked to be confused. And I think it affected Julian Sand even when he had time to throw. I mean, he ended up 21 of 29, but the lack of the big play was very evident. And Ohio State fans are going to probably be upset with fielding the kicker. The Ohio State drove down. It looked like they might take the lead there late with just a few minutes to go in the game. And they ended up, people were questioning the 3rd down call. It's football. If it works out,
it's football.
Great,
absolutely.
whatever.
That's what we do.
Ended up settling for a field goal to potentially, see if Indiana is going to be able to score or if it goes into overtime. And Fielding misses the kick. And then, of course, I don't even want to see his social media, what's going on there, but I'm sure everybody's blaming him, or a lot of people probably blaming him. But let's not do that. Let's give IU all the credit. First time they've won. I mentioned on game day, first time they've won an outright Big Ten championship since 1945. Got to go back to World War II was my reference. I know a lot of people have mentioned, I think in the 60s they had won a share, but it was the first outright. So kudos to Curt Cignetti and IU. We'll get into them a little bit more in a second. But Georgia. I mean, early in the year, it was Georgia finding ways to come back in the third and especially fourth quarter against Tennessee or Ole Miss or whoever it was, losing to Alabama at home. A lot of people wondered, is this still the same team? Is this still the same team that we're used to seeing with Kirby Smart? And all they did was find ways to win, with the exception of Bama, and just kind of keep getting better and keep getting better. And they put it all together against Alabama on both sides of the ball. What stood out to you in that game?
Much like we were just talking about Julian saying, and we finally saw a defense able to get to him and able to put pressure on him and make him look unsettled. Same thing with Ty Simpson. The Georgia defense, same exact thing. Ty Simpson looked so unsettled in that game. Once you get a quarterback unsettled, all of a sudden, some of the things that were made to look easy during the season aren't so easy. And you could see on some of the plays in the Georgia game, they would send their different blitzes, their different looks. And Ty Simpson couldn't figure out which guy to go to, where was the open guy. Because you'll see on some of the plays, there's an open receiver, which there always is when teams blitz. They send more than you can block, and obviously they have less on the back end to cover than you can send out. And there were a couple of times where there was a guy open that he didn't connect with. He didn't find the guy quick enough before the pressure got there. He was unsettled. In which, when you look at this game, and a lot of this draws back to me, the questions of how we get to our rankings. And so watching Alabama in that game, and basically for the last few games, Alabama hasn't looked like Alabama.
Sure.
And then it just begs the question, at what point in time during the last month has Alabama looked like a better football team than Notre Dame or Miami, for that matter, in this situation? And that's why a lot of these things, when you get to the end and it's like, man, these rankings come out and it's like, oh, interesting. And the way it plays out. Give Georgia a lot of credit. If there is a team out there right now that I don't want to see, it might be Georgia. And what they did when Kirby Smart, and much like Nick Saban when he coached at Alabama, when they get their defenses rolling and they start to look like, how are we going to block these guys up front? That's when they get scary. That's when they make you nervous, when they get the defense rolling.
Yeah, I probably called, I don't know, four or five Georgia games this year. Seems like we were with them quite a bit this year. And early in the year, it was like, man, where's the pass rush?
What's going on here?
Well, where's the pass rush?
What's happening with Georgia?
We're used to seeing like six guys
that
can rush the quarterback.
Just roll them in.
Yeah, and where's the corners that we're used to seeing, and
the linebackers just flying around sideline to sideline.
And I think in this era of portal and new players and new faces, it was very refreshing, because nobody, to me, Glenn Schumann, their defensive coordinator, and Kirby Smart, I mean, that's kind of the top of the pyramid in the coaching ranks. And you knew they knew what they were doing, and yet they were still winning, but it just wasn't.
It wasn't pretty.
What you were used to.
They were going to halftime tied or sometimes behind.
Yeah.
And it was like, what are we looking at?
And Gunner was kind of growing each week, and they were kind of figuring it out on offense, and they had some injuries on the offensive line every week. They're dealing with a new thing. And then here we get to the latter part of the year, and then their anchor, kind of the mainstay, is Drew Bobo, the center, and he goes down in the Georgia Tech game. So now they got a backup plan in this game against Alabama. And man, they are a great example of development. They're a great example of guys being maybe one place at week 2 or week 3 or week 4, And then through development and buy-in and just, learning from mistakes, watching the film. Okay. Oh, I see what I did there. And just really, so the players deserve a lot of credit as well, because they took that hard coaching. And again, I saw them each, about every 2 weeks I'd be around Georgia. And these last couple weeks, they just started to look like, okay, here they come. Boy, Gunner's looking more confident.
Yeah.
Early in the year, they were really on him about, boy, you're playing with a different kind of urgency in the fourth quarter. We need to get you to play with that same urgency early in the game. They were really challenging him all year to play with that urgency early in the year. And I think each week he just got more reps and got more confident, got more, the guys around him grew. And like you said, they go into this game against Bama and probably played their most complete game against a quality opponent, played with a ton of confidence, up 21. And, it could have been a lot worse, to be honest with you, the way they were playing that game. And
Absolutely could have been worse. And
yeah,
the same feeling for Texas Tech.
yeah.
You feel the same way about, they look complete
Mhm.
right now. They look complete. It's one thing when they beat BYU the first time around, they got the 3 turnovers and they dominated the game, and it was like, man, they're selling for field goals. The score could be worse. And then they come in this Big 12 championship game and they force 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
And they look dominant once again. This will be fun to watch. We got, the seeding is all right now. Like it's you know what I mean? Like last year we had the conference champions all getting the bye, the way it was set up, and it was like, man, these are weird paths now for teams. But now having Texas Tech and Indiana, Georgia, and Ohio State seated in those top 4, it makes this a much more comparable playoff system. And so the way this is set up, some of these pathways now look really tough.
Well,
before we get through it.
Before we get into that, I just want to ask you reactions to, I said during our telecast for the Georgia game with Alabama, I really, and I said to you last week, I said 2 things. I said JMU probably going to be ranked so they can justify putting them up into the CFP if Duke were to somehow upset Virginia.
Yes.
That kind of played out. The other thing I said is, wow, everybody kept clamoring about, why isn't head-to-head matter? And I kept saying, and we can all disagree on this, but I kept saying, guys, until all the data is in, based on the way I've been trained with CFP, to all the conference championships, head-to-head, all that, until that really comes to a complete, which is all the data is in, all the games are completed. I really thought when they moved BYU or they moved actually Miami and BYU and Notre Dame all within 3 spots, I said they're really setting themselves up next week that if Texas Tech does what they did in Lubbock, which is dismantle BYU, that's going to give them that opportunity to take BYU down for a second thumping, and then move Miami and Notre Dame next to each other. And then I think Miami's going to go by Notre Dame. So our discussion, this is what I said last week, is going to be about Notre Dame and Alabama. While everyone's talking about Miami and Notre Dame, I think Miami's going to be in if BYU loses over Notre Dame with the head-to-head being side by side. Now they're going to have an Alabama, a Miami, Alabama discussion or Notre Dame discussion. And
here's what you taught me. Here's what you and Reese taught me this.
Yeah.
The committee is not allowed to look forward to see what's coming. They have to be in the moment. Like there's no looking forward. I understand what you're saying, and what you're saying is really what happened. But here's the problem with me in this process, and this is not tied to Miami, Notre Dame, Alabama. This is tied to the process. I care about the process and how we get here and how it makes sense or how it doesn't make sense. We've been doing this for 12 years, doing this, watching these, being a part of these shows and getting to the end. So something strange happened, and I didn't realize this in the time that it happened. But when they moved Alabama above Notre Dame, when they flopped those 2 teams for no good reason, we had just watched Alabama beat Auburn.
It was a rivalry game, but not a
great showing. We're talking about an Auburn game that had won 2 games in their last 8. One of those games was against Mercer. the other one against Arkansas. So the committee flips and now all of a sudden puts Bama above Notre Dame. The only reason that it matters is because now it's moving them closer, right? Getting them closer to the situation which you just alluded to. And so now, and we had been told, because these clusters are clusters of 3 teams, 4 teams. So Notre Dame and Miami had already been in a cluster together. They'd already been clustered
I
together.
felt like they were I felt they were like 3 or 4 spots away until last week.
They started there, and then they started to move them. And so a couple things happen when you flip Bama, Notre Dame, setting yourself up to get these teams closer. So now they're closer. Let's compare them then. Then you have BYU sitting here playing for the Big 12 championship, and you have Alabama playing for the SEC championship. I've heard Heather say it. I've heard other people say it, that Alabama going into this game was protected. They weren't going to be punished if they lose. Why is BYU not protected in the same idea?
I have a theory. I don't know, but I have a theory.
They're going into their championship game. You know why they're not protected? Because they're the team that is in the way of setting up the scenario we just talked about. The Notre Dame Miami scenario, which again looks like looking ahead to me. This felt like the way it played out was like a WWE script, because this could have been easy, Herb. This could have been easy. This comparison has been talked about for the past month at least.
Right. Or longer.
We know what's coming. Why not address it? Why not deal with it? Why do we have to go through this theater of Alabama jumping Notre Dame to get them closer? Why do we have to jump Miami up a spot to get them closer? Why do we have to have BYU sitting between them to get them closer? We know what the conversation is. Let's deal with it in real time, because, and I have a ton of respect for the people in the room. They are highly intelligent. This isn't about like, I think they're a bunch of dumbasses. They're highly intelligent. Why not address it in a way that doesn't look like a WWE script,
right,
that comes down to, hey, Bama's protected, so they're not. You know why Bama's protected? Because Notre Dame was behind them. They can't drop, because now if you do that, you're messing up the scenario that you just set up the past couple weeks.
I'll say this, and I know we have Mario Cristobal. We'll add him in a sec. I'll say this, and the reason I said what I said last week prior to the matchup was the fact that Texas Tech beat BYU as convincingly as they did the first time around. And they're going to play them in a rematch. And I just felt that if they beat them again convincingly, even though you shouldn't be punished for a bonus game, because they'd already beaten them once and now they beat them again, I feel like that is different than Alabama going into Athens and beating them in the regular season, which I think we would all say, maybe other than Indiana going to Eugene, one of the greatest wins we saw this year.
Absolutely.
So I think that insulated them. And not to mention, you know, they lost to Florida State in week 1, but look what they did in weeks 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, there were about 4 or 5 weeks there. They were challenged more than anybody in the country with the teams that they played every week. So I think there was respect for that. And then when they ended up losing that game to Georgia, I think there was more forgiveness than for BYU because of what they did going into Athens and beating them. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, but why switch
the week before?
Notre Dame,
I have no idea.
The week before.
No idea.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's why the script looks like it's a WWE situation that is just plays out weird to me in a way that did not have to be. It's the process. Like, I don't care about the teams. The process matters to me, just because I've been part of it.
It doesn't matter who the teams are. But speaking of a team, sorry about that. Hey, chill out. Speaking of the teams and one of the coaches who was involved in this, let's bring in Mario Cristobal, who's the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. Coach, how are you, man? Congratulations on the Canes getting in there. That was a bumpy road the last week or so.
Good morning, and appreciate you guys having me. Certainly an awesome day yesterday, and a lot of hard work validated, and certainly looking forward to the opportunity.
Man,
Mario,
Coach, I appreciate you coming on. Seriously, after everything you got going on, to come on us the next day, really appreciate it.
And we just want we just
don't sleep. We're drinking Cuban coffee all day.
I had Cuban coffee when we were down there for a Canes game. It was about this big, and knocked my socks off.
I tried it one time. I couldn't get it down. I couldn't. I feel like I had to chew it.
Yeah. Well, he grew up with it. Mario grew up with it. I want to ask you, Joey just hit on, let's take Miami out. You're a college football fan. You played the game. You're a diehard, passionate fan of this sport. We're all kind of scratching our head every year, it seems like, about, well, what happened with this? What happened with that? You're in the middle of it. And just taking Miami and this situation out of it, how do we move forward? Like, what can we do to try to give us some reason to believe that the system is fair? Because the committee, you can say whatever you want. If Miami would have been left out, people would have been frustrated about that. If Notre Dame gets left out, there's people frustrated about that. Alabama gets left out, there's frustration there. Even Texas is upset. So do we have any way of moving forward to try to make some sense out of the postseason?
Oh, wow. Where do you start with this? I would say two different things. I would say that this year and last year for us, I'll use us. I can't speak on behalf of anyone else. I felt like last year we were legitimately in a debate because we had enough good data, but we also had enough holes where, okay, we got to go fight for this because I can see where their side is a stronger argument than ours. But we have still this. We could kind of go this angle and see what catches traction. I felt that this year, I felt it was about just the facts to come to the forefront and be assessed and just made clearly public, where there was, I felt like people were posturing and manipulating information and putting stuff and giving more magnitude, I would say, to certain other outcomes as opposed to what we always valued first and foremost, besides the head-to-head. I'm talking about the common opponents. Our performance in the last 4 games, I thought, was very underestimated, undervalued.
Totally agree. Yeah,
man.
After losing 2 or 3, to finish the way you guys did, I think obviously was a testament to your guys, testament to you guys, because it's easy to get fragile when things don't go well, and 2 or 3, and oh well, here we go. But man, you guys, if anything, probably played some of your best ball down the stretch.
Honestly, we never won. We had 7 starters, not role players, 7 start. We never ever said anything about it, and I'm never going to go back and say, hey, but this happened. We just kept going, and as we just started playing better and better, the last 4 games, there's nothing outside of the top 10 from a performance standpoint statistically, and all like the real valid game defining data. And that was never, I felt like I kept pushing that and pushing it and trying to throw it out there. So that's my comment as it relates to last year and this year. As it relates to everything, I think until you have, we always follow the NFL. I feel like we're always 1 or 2, 3 years behind the NFL. We always adapt to whether it be clock, before the half, the 2-minute warning rules, right? Whatever it is, you always move towards the NFL way. Is that not the cleanest system right now as it relates to who goes on to the postseason? Am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah, it is clean, Coach, but we have these conferences with so many teams in them nowadays that it's like, I love the NFL model and how clean it is, how easy it is to get to the end, and there's no questions, there's no committee, there's none of that. But now we have these conferences with 18 teams in them, and people aren't playing other people, and we get to the end. Like this last month felt like we were watching a drama play out, like a soap opera play out in the next, and then Tuesday night is one thing, Sunday something completely different. And I'm just on the show and arguing for the process. Teams don't matter to me. I don't have a connection to any particular team in the situation.
A little bit, come on.
Well, the Buckeyes were in, so we had nothing to worry about. They weren't part of this drama. I can't imagine being in your situation knowing what you have in your locker room is good enough to win it all. Same with Notre Dame, same with Texas, same with Vandy, and just saying, man, I really hope they do this the right way and I get a chance to take these kids that I know are good enough to win it and get it. Like, what has that been like for you? Playing the way you're playing, just like, man, we're killing it right now. What else can we do?
Well, I mean, it's analogous to our situation with our conference championship game. Like, it went down to a fifth tiebreaker. I mean, when I think of that tiebreaker, I think of the movie A Beautiful Mind, and all that crazy scribble and scrabble. I didn't even come to that to decide who's going to. And credit to Duke for finding a way in and winning. Congratulations.
Amazing.
It's just that I don't know. It's one of those deals where I don't know. I really don't. All I can think about in times like this is what Coach Saban used to tell us all the time. If you want to make people happy, go sell ice cream. The ice cream man makes everybody happy. Don't coach football. Don't get involved in football because there's no possible way to make everybody happy. And I just don't know how to make everything fair unless the season was 16 to 18 games long. And now we're playing with a whole nother dynamic as it relates to the academic. Yeah. So
what do you make beyond the stress over the last 24 hours? Just now that you're in, you kind of punched your ticket. The matchups are out there. We've kind of talked about the results of the weekend, but we'll spin it forward. Miami right now, when it comes to health, when it comes to mindset, when it comes to just let's go prepare, let's get ready to roll, let's see who the best teams are. You guys are going into a tough environment, place that you've ironically been in the last couple of years. Just your thoughts on this matchup and the path that you guys are facing right now.
Well, we feel grateful and driven. I think that's a really good combination to have heading into the postseason, and we are legitimately and significantly healthier than we have been, than we were in the middle of the season. So they are an unbelievable roster now. I mean, they are explosive in every aspect possible. And I'll go back to this. Like, our meeting after the SMU game was one, and I took a page out of, old Dr. Elko, man, who worked with us at Miami, with Butch Davis at Alabama, with Coach Saban, with us at Oregon. We needed to realize who we were. And what we did, we took the clips of the Notre Dame game, FSU, Florida, South Florida. We were just playing at a really high level. Just cut the lights and let it play. No one said a word. Just no audio, no commentary. Just like realize who the heck we are. And it's about a 15-minute reel. I was dead silent, man. It was just like, let's go. Everybody, let's wake up and let's go. And that led to the current mindset of our team. The enthusiasm and energy and urgency behind our preparation right now and these last 5 weeks has been the ultimate difference. It's allowed us to just come game time to be able to cut it loose and have fun. And I think that's what's always worked at Miami. And I think it's taken me a little while to relearn that because I went away, right? Coach Saban. I was under Coach Jimmy Johnson, who was a combination of both. And circling back, I think we're bringing all that back together.
It's so crazy when I love talking to coaches who've been around for a while and you start to throw other names in there. You just forget all these connections to other coaches, which I want to get into in a second. But what does this look like for you guys now? We know who you're playing, when you're playing. Today, I already said I really appreciate with everything you have going on, you coming on and spend some time with us. But what does your schedule look like in these next few days when you get back after it? What happens?
I think number one, just having been at other places where we had an opportunity to do this, number one, definitely don't even think about treating any aspect of it like a bowl game because it's not. It's a win or go home game. So these are 2 weeks of identical game prep weeks for the game on Saturday. So this is a practice walkthrough meeting week, just like we would if we're playing Saturday with a Saturday practice. And next week is a game week. So we don't want to overcomplicate something that, there's a recipe for that has been effective.
We always hear about the calendar. The calendar needs to be fixed. Who would fix the calendar? Who's in charge of the calendar? Is it the American Football Coaches Association?
Dude, that's an excellent. We keep cracking at this.
I don't know who fixes
person fix the calendar. Who is it?
Who is that? Honestly, is it the conference commissioners? Is it presidents? Is it the American Football Coaches? How do we change the calendar to help you guys?
It is so complicated. I know the calendar has caused more like husband and wife arguments in the world. And look, if there's no complaints on this end, I will work myself to the bone. If you get into the business, you're married to the program, and you do whatever you have to do by your players. They're your sons, man. Now,
Sure.
my son, if my son has a chance to play, I don't care if it's on the moon. I'm sending him to a place with awesome people that are going to push him, guide him, help him learn to the highest level. And God forbid there's an awful situation, they'll be there for him just like I would. So the thing is, this calendar, it doesn't make sense. And if the student athlete's the most important part of it, how are we bookending these things like we are? How are we having coaches away from the facility when they get to campus? How are we like not spending time around our players during critical moments and preparing for, certain parts of the year? And then June is like, I often think of one of my favorite movies is Sicario, okay? Where Juarez is, Mexico is, right? It's
Interesting.
It's the beast.
Yeah.
June is the beast for coaches, where every single day of the entire month, it's recruiting, it's development, it's your players with OTAs, it's official visits, it's unofficial visits, it's your camp, it's the satellite camps. There's no reprieve. It's just go, go, go. And who pays the price? Your current players. You don't spend enough time around them. So I know I took a long way to answer a short question.
Yeah.
But it's mind-boggling, and it's like it's almost like be on the lookout for the new regulation. All right, take it. All right, let's scrap February. We're not doing that. Hey, let's do it's just you change.
But if it got tweaked, honestly, I'm asking just an honest question. Do you know who
that's the biggest question, because we all talk about this calendar. We all talk about why can't we fix this? I don't know that there is a fix that makes everybody happy. But if we could just find out who we can speak to about fixing it, like who is
I don't know who that is
that we go to.
I'm going to invite you to our conference meetings.
Love to come.
And I'm going to have you there. We're going to go fishing one day. We're going to go train another day, but we're going to sit in on all the details that go into that. The coach's voice is a minority voice. And
That's a problem.
That's the problem. There is. You
guys are living it, and not to say woe is me, it's just let's make some sense out of it.
But then ultimately, though, the kids are the ones that suffer because of the problem. You know what I mean? Like we sort of joke about the tough situation that it puts the coaches in, but ultimately the kids are the ones that end up suffering in these situations when this stuff happens.
No doubt. I'm with you 100%. And non-coaches are making decisions. And like you mentioned, people could talk about NIL and everything else. They're still 17, 18, 19, and 20 years old. And think about us when we were that old, that young. I mean, come on, man. Those big, 295-pound bodies, they're still not babies, but come on, man. They need the right guidance, the right mentorship, and they need time. They need invested time by their coaches to truly impact them and put them on the right path and keep them on the right path to maximize their potential, which is, you talk about a recruiting, you sell it, and then the end, the calendar pulls you away from being able to execute that plan.
I want to ask you a question that I got asked on College Game Day. Nick Saban got asked, and all of us got asked. If you could change one thing for the betterment of where we are with so much that's frustrating, what's the one thing, living it the way you do every day? What would be the one thing that you think could help? Whether it's CFP, whether it's just the system itself, college football. If you were the commissioner, the czar, what's the one thing you would change?
Just one.
Just one.
Man, that is.
I think I said I would love a CBA. I would love to have a collective bargaining agreement like the NFL does. Somebody represents the players, whether they unionize. Somebody represents the teams, the schools, and we come to an agreement on NIL. Transfer portal. I mean, whatever the things are, there's an agreement on both sides. There's rules. There's enforcement. Just everybody gets on the same page. That was my thing. Like, can we get to a CBA to avoid antitrust laws and all the threat of litigation? That was my thought. What? Because a lot kind of falls underneath that umbrella, a CBA. But that was what I threw out. What? Any thoughts at all on what we?
I have another ask, but do you realize today, and you won't have time to do it, I wish you could fathom what today looks like for just about every program in the country working to retain players that are being offered twice as much at other places, and what that looks like in the home, right? The family, what it looks like in the office, what it looks like as it relates to the investors. It's absolute chaos. But that's an entire.
And you're trying to get ready for a game.
Yeah.
And you got people coming in that are trying to take players?
Well, we feel good about that I'm not saying us. I'm saying,
just in general, the country.
Yeah, you like to always consult coaches that you trust in the profession and see what they're going through, compare practice schedules, never compare information of recruiting or schematics, because that's not part of it. But I hear some of the problems that some of the teams are going through right now, and I'm like, wow, that would absolutely suck at this time of year. For me, one of the top things, it's minor in the eyes of many. I would eliminate Thursday and Friday games, man. College football's for Saturday. That drives me bananas. I know, and that's might be petty to some.
Yeah.
Man, I want college football on Saturdays. I really, really do. And I want more time around the players. I want more time around the players. Some of these, what's this 8 hours a week and then 10 hours? And what is that? Like, you signed up for this. We are investing heavily, and we're supposed to develop you. Now you're going to limit the amount of. You have double the coaches in the NFL, and you have players. You have triple the players in college, and you have coaches. But we have a fraction of the time that they have. Like, it doesn't. That part blows me away. Like,
hey, Coach, we got to get education, Coach. We got to spend half our days in class, so that.
I'm not looking into class time, man.
So that Herbie, guys like me and Herbie want to get our degree in
private school. Okay, I know you guys have your
Joey, what you got a 3.5 in business?
Yeah, I was.
Dude, serious.
So I was a student. But I don't. Today's world is different. And Coach, a minute ago you was talking about when we were younger, and it was interesting because Coach Dennis Erickson was my first coach in Seattle. And Cortez Kennedy and the Blades brothers. And I was just doing some research. I was like, man, I didn't realize that you knew those guys. And my gosh, amazing. Cortez Kennedy, for some reason, I don't even know how this happened, Coach. I show up in Seattle, and somehow Cortez, this big, huge human, we became good friends. It's like he took me under his wing. Brian Blades, like he took me under his wing. I was like, this is nuts that, like, those guys. And Coach Erickson, just amazing, that connection with what those guys meant to me. I just imagine you with them in college.
Cortez Kennedy is may he rest in peace.
Yes.
A God, man, one of the best teammates ever. His first day here was 380. And I will never forget, first practice, he's puking all over the place. He can't run. Jimmy Johnson's all over him. And I'm about to go to the chow hall. I had a car. He's like, come on, man, let me hop in with you. And he hopped in. He's like, you registered for class? I go, yeah. He goes, what are you doing? I'm going, business. He's like, I asked him, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to the NFL. I'm not worried about it. You just like fertilized our field for the last hour. You're going to go to the NFL? And I think he's the most dominant player I ever had to face.
Wow.
In practice or a game.
Yes.
It hurts. It, like, your body would actually suffer when you would collide with him. Like, it would be a complete, like, from head down the spine down to your toes. It was bam, just monster back, huge legs, huge butt, and incredible power.
He was amazing. When I was a rookie in Seattle, you know how they used to do the little rookie, the rookie would have to carry the bags or something like that. So I'm in practice. At the end of the very first practice, Cortez comes over to me, and he grabs me and he picks me up and he carries me. He carries me over to the goalpost and tapes me around the goalpost, and they all dumped water on me. And it was one of those things that when he grabbed me, it's like a bear. There was no struggle because what was I going to do? He grabbed me. But the funniest part about Cortez, and we got done. He said, "Hey, thanks for not running, because I didn't want to chase you." But yeah, the Blades brothers, amazing guys, Coach. I mean, seriously, they were.
I used to watch Benny Blades. They used to come out here when I was in high school. I can get here on a bike, hitchhike, walk, whatever, to watch Jerome Brown and Greg Rickard Danny Stubbs, Matt Patchett, Mel Bratt.
Jeez, those were
the days. If one thing, Coach, number one, thank you for bringing Miami back, because when you talk those days right there,
that's our childhood. That's
when, if you could just get Florida State back, if you could get Florida back,
want them all back.
We want the state of Florida back to those days when it was must-see TV. Get your popcorn, sit down. Miami's about to play Florida State. Miami's about to play Florida. And it was like...
But can we bring the Orange Bowl back too? Because I missed the Orange Bowl.
The best place. We still have work to do before we're back. We actually want to be here, But I'll tell you what, when I watching them practice, that's why I wanted to come here. That's why every player we take, they have to come see us practice, because it's how we practice at Alabama. It's how we practiced under Jimmy Johnson. You have to love that. And then when I signed here, I was frightened. I'm like, what did I do, man? These guys, they're going to kill me. Kevin Fagan, 565 for 200. I'm like, get me out of here, man.
Yeah. So, it was your last year, 92?
My last year was 92. So
that was my last year too. And you guys ended up playing Bama and that Sugar Bowl. I know it didn't go the way you had hoped, but another example of one team goes in thinking they're going to win, the other team comes in trying to prove everybody wrong, and they were pretty motivated. But one thing Joey and I talk about, and I know the three of us are from a different generation, but we had goals of going to the national championship. It was different then. The Big Ten, the Pac-10 in those days were not part of the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. You guys were, Oklahoma was. It was kind of those same teams, it seems like, in our era playing for Notre Dame. And I miss bowl games. I miss bowl games mattering. Our bowl games, we had a great, you're so regimented as a player that when you go to a bowl game, you actually get free time. You get a chance to go practice, you grind, but then it's like, okay, guys, you got off from 5 o'clock, curfews, midnight or whatever. And we're like, we have free time, whatever town we were in, we'd go hang out together. Some great memories, of those bowl games. And I sometimes I get it. I know that the CFP is the focus, but I just feel like it's almost becoming NCAA tournament and NIT is the perception with social media. But do players still I know you're in the CFP, but do players still like bowl games, or should we just do away with bowl games? Because our era, we loved them.
I love bowl games. I hate to say I'm a pack rat, so I still have all my old Sugar Bowl stuff. Have the starter jacket. I got it all, man. I got it all in an old, closet of mine. But you're right. I mean, I still remember playing Texas in the Cotton Bowl and going to Laurie's for the Beef Bowl, where they have both sides eat as much prime rib as you can.
Yep. Amazing.
And then, a little bit of, smack talking back and forth. But it actually led to some unbelievable relationships with some of the guys on the other side also. I hate it that this generation is not getting to experience just the pageantry and just the sheer energy of the bowl system, because it was a huge part of us just growing in the sport and a reason why we loved it.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Those were the days, Coach. And before we let you go, Coach, because you just mentioned something that irks me about this, not just the bowl games, but that thing where we come in together as freshmen and we're going to be at a place for 4 years. Like we talked about you and the Blades brothers and Cortez. I hate that these kids don't get that same brotherhood experience out of it. You know what I mean? Where like me and Herbie came in together, and he is here a year before me, and he's one of the guys I gravitated to. We became friends, and now we become brothers years later because we're there for 4 years. There was no portal. We weren't leaving. There weren't, you know what I mean? And
I had a football dorm too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're seeing each other at the dorm. It is like, it's such a different world that I miss. Man, this has been nostalgic. This is going to bring a tear to my eye. I went to
campus yesterday where I lived. Like it looked like cell block 4, but our dorm over there has been replaced by these. You should see this. It's like luxury condos overlooking the pool where Pat dove off. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, where's my dorm, man? Where's 36H? We call the Great American Sub Connection. Deliver 36H. Yes, as in hell. Bring it over here. They're gone. And but at the same time, there's so many positive changes. But I'm with you, man. I every now and then I'll go to that closet and pull out the starter jacket just to remind.
Yeah. Well, hey man, thanks for hopping on. I
Thanks,
know
Coach.
this past weekend was crazy for everybody, but congrats to punching the ticket, getting in. Look forward to seeing you over at College Station in a couple weeks, and thanks for hopping on with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having
All
me.
right,
Go.
Thanks,
hey, buddy.
Coach.
All right, man. Take care. Wish him all the best. We'll they're on Saturday. For college game day, will go Friday to Norman, Oklahoma. Alabama is going to play Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Game day will be there, do a show that evening leading up to the kick. It's a Friday night game on the 19th. Chris and I and Holly will call that game that night, and then we'll fly over to College Station for Miami at Texas A&M. So we were talking a lot there. It was cool. Wasn't that fun to kind of the bowl games, can they still matter? I wish they could.
Nah.
I wish they could.
I don't know how I don't know how you bring that back. And it's interesting when you see a team opt out of a bowl game.
Especially Notre Dame.
I probably have a different feel about the Notre Dame situation than some. About I guess my only question would be, if this was the players making this decision, then I'm absolutely fine with it. If the players decide you remember before we had to go to the Liberty Bowl, we as players had gotten together and there was question of, do we really want to do this? Do we really want to go to Memphis and play in the Liberty Bowl? And I was a redshirt freshman at the time. Ultimately, we decided to go. But let's be honest. We didn't want to be there.
No, it was beat Michigan, go to the Rose Bowl.
Yes.
It was a different era. If you lose, there wasn't a Citrus Bowl or like go play a big time SEC opponent. You slid all the way down. It was either you go to the Rose Bowl or you go to the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, we went to the Liberty Bowl. And we didn't want to be there.
No, it was a 16-13 close game. Ohio State ended up losing.
Yeah.
So instead of we're this close to going to the Rose Bowl, instead you go to the Liberty Bowl. And as much as we love bowls, there's such disappointment from being the Rose Bowl taken away.
Yes.
And it was pretty much every player in the locker room was kind of like, for real?
Could you, so taking that situation, can you imagine Notre Dame's feelings after yesterday? Now, if the players decide, like if administration decides, that's different to me. But if the players in that locker room decided, we don't want to do this. We went from same scenario you just spoke about the Rose Bowl. They went from playing in the playoff to have a chance to go win a national championship or go to some bowl. I could understand if the players decided, we don't want to do
and we
this.
have no idea. Yeah, we have no idea
that's the part we don't know, like who made the decision.
And I think you and I have nothing but respect for Marcus Freeman, obviously.
Absolutely.
Know him well. Pete Bavacqua, their athletic director, know him. I mean, two of the classiest guys probably in the industry, and I don't know all the details. I know the optics of it aren't great. You love to see Notre Dame always in the postseason. And I know they're frustrated. I don't know what went into that decision other than, you assume that whether it was the players or a combination of the players and the coach and the administration, I have no idea. But they're entitled to do whatever they want to do. But I think it's another example of where we are. It's almost I think for players, it's a CFP or bust. I picture if you were a great basketball player and you play at Kansas or Duke, and your goal is to go to the NCAA tournament and be a 1 seed or a 2 seed, and you end up getting left out, and now you're going to the NIT. That's basically what college football, I feel like, is becoming for some fans, some players. Not for me. Just because of our past, our background, I think there's still something really cool when you're sitting around during the holidays and you flip on and there's whoever Arkansas playing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Against
But
Wisconsin.
is it really Arkansas nowadays though? Because of the opt-outs, because of
no, I know.
You know what I mean? So you almost don't really get that same experience. Like this started years ago with the opt-outs.
I think Christian McCaffrey was one of the first guys I can remember doing.
Yeah, even before the portal started, the opt-outs of bowl games. And then it got to a point where, all right, so let's just say Notre Dame decided to go and play in a bowl game. You'd imagine that they would have some guys, seniors, that would say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get ready for the draft. I'm not going to play in this game. Then are we
Probably
really
so.
seeing so it is different now.
Yeah.
I do think we still hold on to the way it used to be because we just are huge fans of the sport.
Mhm.
And a lot of times are fans of the sport to the point where we want it to just be great. We want it to be great at all times. And it's not all the time great. And it wasn't all the time great then. But what we look at now, and this is why this situation, how it played out in the room, in the committee room, and the way this played out is not because I care who gets in, but I do care about the process by who gets in. And I care about what this means to these young men. Like even for Miami to have to go through the last month or so of what they're dealing with, I feel like it all could have been better, a more clear path for everyone involved, which makes it less questionable. And so I don't know if we can ever get back the amount of money that is being spent now, not just inside the locker room, but TV rights, all these things. I don't know if we can ever go back to, I agree with you 100%. It's like getting into the NCAA tournament versus getting into the NIT. And you can see teams saying, nah, I am not going to go to the NIT. You see it happen all the time in basketball. And it feels like that's where we are. I don't know how we ever get away with it. With the amount of money being spent at this point, I don't know how you get back to anything that looks like what we're used to.
Yeah, it's for those of us that are traditionalist, like Coach just said, or you might have said nostalgic. You think back to what I loved about bowl games, beyond being a player, and the experience that we had as players. I think as a fan, since I was a kid, there was something always intriguing to me about the regional matchups.
Absolutely.
If you were a Big Ten fan and you prided yourself on the Big Ten plays really good football, and you got a matchup of Michigan against Florida in a Citrus Bowl, there was a lot of like, okay, this will be a really good opportunity to see who plays better football. If you're an SEC fan and you're tired of hearing about the Big Ten, it was Georgia against Wisconsin or Penn State or whatever it might be, or the Big Ten and what used to be the Pac-12 or Pac-10. Those were always, there was something about those games. It was cool to see. Okay, let's track what conferences. Oh, hey, Big Ten's 5-1. Let's go. Or they're 1-5. Oh, well, but there was it was something really cool about that. But that was a different era, a different time. So, we can be frustrated by that, but it's where we are, and I think
where we are.
We have to kind of accept that and understand it and try our best to. Because we don't want to live in an era. It's like, you guys need to understand these bowl games. It's like, shit, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
but you and I can talk about how much we love them, and I'll still watch almost every one of these games.
That if you could actually figure out who it is who you call to fix the calendar.
I don't know. I always ask that. Everybody's talking about fix this, fix that. I'm like, cool. Who do we need to call about fixing that? We don't call the NCAA for anything.
Well, that's because you guys been chopping their knees for it. I mean, it is like
the Supreme Court did that. Brett Kavanaugh did that.
I mean, we have nobody. Who you going to call?
Let's say we only have 7 minutes left. I mean, this show feels like we've been talking for 2 minutes, and we got 7 minutes left in this hour. Let's answer a few questions. Really appreciate folks for hopping on. We got a bunch of people with a bunch of questions. Do you guys think that Mendoza is a clear favorite for the Heisman? What do you think, Joey? You think I felt going into the weekend, Love was out there at Notre Dame, Pavia was out there at Vandy. They didn't play this weekend. A lot of focus was on what was going to happen in the Big Ten championship game, which quarterback would play better, which team would win. Both those guys have had great years all year. You got to believe both of them will be in the. And real quick on the sidebar, ESPN doesn't invite people to the Heisman. The Heisman Trust, they get the votes. No, really, they get the votes.
I agree. The fact that you got to tell people this, though, because they literally think that.
No, it's based on thousands of votes, and wherever that obvious line is, where the majority stopped, that's the group. Whether it's 2 guys or 3 guys or 4 guys, so it's not ESPN inviting; it's the voters deciding where that cut line is. So I have no idea who will get invited. But to answer the question, I'm guessing Mendoza wins it. I need to vote today, by the way.
I need to vote too.
I'm glad they
like, hey,
reminded me.
You haven't voted. It's always funny to me when there's a question comes up, and then in your mind you have some things that you've been dealing with, and then you'll answer to that. We don't invite people.
We had no idea.
And then you
I
go
know
back.
nothing.
Yeah. I think that Mendoza separated himself from saying, I've been screaming all along, Jeremiah Love. But
would that be your vote?
I don't know if we're allowed to discuss who we're voting for.
We're probably not.
See, this is why we get text messages. You're in here breaking the rules.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I think all three of those guys, Pavia. Yeah. I mean, if you look at what he did for his team, from where that
absolutely
that team has been forever. I mean, he definitely deserves.
Yeah, when the camera was on him. No, I'm joking. That's just a joke.
All right. Let's go next question. Drop the conference championship games because they cause more problems than they do good.
Here's your problem, Herbie. Here's your problem. There's a lot of money to be made.
Well, let's make up for the money.
Yeah.
Are
you going to give some salary back?
No. Let's make all the conferences whole with whatever the new system is.
Yeah, but what's making TV whole though?
No, you're still going to create games on that weekend that are more play-in games that get people excited about. If you win, you advance. If you lose, you're out. I think that's what we miss now in conference championship weekend. Is Ohio State played Indiana and they just flipped spots 1-2.
That's going to be filed under, who do we call for that? Yeah. It sounds like a great idea. You got to get a lot of people on board to change this with the amount of money that is being spent.
But I get the spirit of the question.
I get the spirit of the question too. And again, if this was me and you making decisions that didn't depend on money, like at the beginning of every question, but
if you make every conference whole on
money.
whatever their money allotment that they get currently and I don't even know how that works, the conference or the networks, however it works, make sure they get the money that they are already guaranteed.
Yeah, but TV got to be made whole.
But if you make it compelling TV with great games that matter, there's a way to change it. There's a way to make it.
Hey, listen, call them up. I'm with
not
you.
Calling anybody, but I'm just suggesting.
I'm with you. You got to make the money right.
I do miss. Holy cow! If you win, you're alive. If you lose, you're out. I miss that about conference championship weekend. But
then you also got to deal with, like, you're gonna get yourself in the same argument because these conferences aren't the same.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, the ACC wasn't the same.
What if you make an AFC NFC of college football?
Holy crap!
And then no, and then you do divisions within each conference.
Yeah, I love it. But again,
Big 10, SEC,
let's go.
Big 12, ACC.
When we take over, we switch all this. I agree. Let's make it just like I think Coach Cristobal is on board. He'll join us with us.
He'll join us.
We'll get Reese. Let's go.
Reese. Yep. All right, let's go. Next question. 2 minutes left. Quick. Do the non-playoff bowl games survive?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
You would be surprised at how many people. Well, you wouldn't. I think other people would be surprised at how many people watch these bowl games.
No, the ratings out. Some of the bowl games outside of the CFP will outrate NBA Finals games.
They do great numbers, and as long as that's the case, we're gonna keep it rolling.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, keep firing away. 2 minutes, still minute and a half left. What do we got? If after the first BYU loss, they were ahead of Miami, why would a similar loss to the same team then bump them behind Miami?
Because we had to get Miami close to Notre Dame.
Let me just say this. Moving forward, I would love a world if we go to 16, we just rank them 1 to 16. There's no more participation trophies. If you're a group of 5 team, you have to get up into the top 16 to qualify. I hate that we have this outlier. It's like, well, we have to have a group of 5.
Again, who do we call? Can we get to 16 first?
Let's get to 16. Let's just rank them 1 to 16. 1 to 16 with 5 AQs. And then whatever's left after that, the
We
best
don't want to
16
hear this nonsense about each conference deserves X
No.
amount of picks.
No,
Get
no,
rid
it's-
of that
it's-
nonsense.
And it's a computer
Rank 'em.
and committee combination, Sagarin ratings committee.
Let me get in the
combined.
committee. Let me get
You
in
get
the
in the
committee.
committee. You run the committee.
Yeah, we're not. Booger's not in.
You run it.
You're in. I'll taking Reese. I'll
Yeah.
be the chair. I
You
get
be
to
the
answer
chair.
the questions on TV.
That'd be awesome. Who do you guys like in the playoffs? Who you like, Joey? 30 seconds.
I like them all. It's too early.
Who's got the easiest path, do you think?
I think the way
I
it's
think-
set up now, I don't see an easy path for anybody.
Could you imagine Ohio State, A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Indiana? Who knows who they're going to play? But the semifinals, there's some really exciting games.
There's no easy
potentially.
path here.
No.
There's no easy path,
Yeah.
which is the way
Joey-
it should be.
Appreciate you. Wish we had more time. Love you, buddy.
Yep.
Everybody, it's fun to disagree and have arguments. That's what makes college football great. Let's just try to do the best we can to everybody get along. It is the holiday season. Let's just try to love each other.
Everybody get along and love each other.
See ya.